Hey Vencott, this is Sue Lee here. I am doing your peer review for this week. So, in this week, you continue to develop Addy, focusing on the implementation and evaluation phases. So, you have a great start, but this draft still needs a lot of improvement. So, let's look at the few things that I highlighted here. In the instructional problem, you just want to unbold that citation. For your objectives, I noticed scrolling through your draft, you did end up changing your objective 1 and 2. Make sure that is reflected at the beginning of your draft as well. I'm going to skip through some of these. Right here, you just need to erase your hyphen, and I pointed out a couple areas of that. And in this section, I noticed that you bulleted a lot of your stuff, but in the formative assessment and summative assessment, you didn't. I would bullet where it says quiz, check for understanding, and the final practical. For your draft, I would suggest changing the word teacher to instructor. It just sounds a little bit better and it's more formal. It'll also go well with later on in your paper where you refer to the instructor. So just having the same word for the same person will just make it a little more cohesive. Right here, you just need to spell out the word hours. Here's that second objective 2 where you just need to copy and paste your new objective that was written in the ABCD format, just right there. I noticed you missed having a single space. You have a double space here, so just erase that. But you did a lot better with this draft. You didn't have too many issues with spacing. The content outline has been greatly improved from the last draft, so you did a really nice job with that. Another hyphen that needs to be erased. Another double space issue. Again, change the word from teacher to instructor. Just stay the same throughout the same course here. For time, I noticed on your time you had really long activities. So according to that brain-based e-learning design LinkedIn course, you do want to break it down into smaller chunks and think about how you would go about doing that. In formal writing, you want to avoid using the first person, and there are a couple places where you did end up using the first person. For numbers 0 through 9, you want to make sure you spell them out according to APA 7 rules. For this area, you just want to have Rothwell et al. For this section here, you referred to the person by their first and last name. You do want to erase the first name of your source and just have the last name. Something that I learned this week was when you are writing about what somebody said, you do need to talk about it in the past tense. And I found a really good source of when to use past tense versus present tense, and I included the link in the citation here. This is the part of your paper where it changes your font. So this is a Helvetica font. You just need to change it to Times New Roman so it can match the rest of your paper. And I pointed out a couple areas where the font either changed or the size changed. So for example, right here, your font size changed. It needs to be 12 to match the rest of your paper. Here's some more areas where you can get rid of the hyphen. This word here can be lowercase since it is not the title of something. You can also get rid of the hyphen here. Right here, you do need to change your font to 12-point font to match the rest of your paper. You do have what looks like the first part of introduction written twice. That just needs to be erased. And I noticed that you had a period on this. I didn't know if you wanted to make it a full sentence, a complete sentence, and include a period. If this is just a phrase, make sure that you erase the period there. Again, here's another area where it just needs to be 12-point font. And then after looking at your link to your training pre-production, I noticed that you have multiple drafts. What I would do is just have your final draft so it looks more professional to whoever you were presenting this to. You made a lot of really great improvements on your video. Uh, if I had to give any kind of critique, I would choose a sans serif font for all of the words just so it's easier to read over the more busy backgrounds. I noticed this font was gray and it just needs to be black. Same thing here, just change that to black font. And then you have a huge gap in your draft that just needs to be erased. Again here, this needs to be 12-point font. It looks like there are some spacing issues here too, so just make sure it's single spaced. E-learning, I've seen two different ways of spelling it, but I do like this way of spelling it. It just reads a little bit better. I would add the word to in the sentence. So the sentence would read, our goal is to obtain data. I would remove the hyphen there and replace it with the colon. And this sentence here, you could probably erase it and it's more informal, so it's not necessary. Again, avoid first person in formal writing. I noticed there are a couple words here that were misspelled. So right here for relevance, here you have two spaces again. Right here where you have qualitative, I would make sure that's spelled correctly. Likert, I believe, is also capitalized. With your resource, you did enter the first name again, so make sure that you erase the first name. And again, make sure that when you're referring to what somebody has said, that you use the past tense. And again, if I click on this, I put the link that explains why it is the way that it is. When I was looking at your Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of valuation, you had really good information. You just need to have artifacts listed inside each level. So for example, if you are using some sort of evaluation, like right here you say this evaluation will include a Likert scale and qualitative questions and open-ended, I think you meant quantitative, sorry, quantitative questions and open-ended qualitative short answers. You do want to have that artifact or that example listed in that level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, whatever you're talking about. So for example, here in level 2, you mentioned an assessment. I would include an assessment for us to be able to look at. Right here, you do need a space in between follow and up. I did notice you wrote insert research. I think that was maybe a note just to yourself. That's a good note. And I agree that you need to insert some sort of example there. Level 4 does need a little more development. It also needs artifacts or examples to show the evidence of what you'll be using to evaluate the impact of the program. Here you do need to have, it looks like you have gray font that just needs to be black Times New Roman 12-point font. You have an excess word here that just needs deleted. Again, when you have numbers 0 through 9, make sure you spell them out. And then I noticed that you started your statistical analysis method and it seems incomplete. So you'll need to do a little more research and find some information, find a method that best fits for what you're teaching. and write that paragraph in. Over here, I think you meant the word virtual, and here I think you just misspelled the word assignments. Again, another number that just needs to be spelled out, same here. And after you're talking about people, you are missing your table where you're supposed to talk about your pre, during, and post interventions from your various people involved in the process. So make sure you include that because that's really important. There's some misspelled words like microphones, access, workstation. Those are just quick, easy fixes. I did notice that your paragraph for adoption and buy-in does need to be written in. Again, some more areas where you have gray font that just needs to be black. And when you're referring to something that somebody has said, make sure that it's in past tense. So in this example, it would be suggested. Same thing here. A lot of areas, they just need change from gray to black. You had really good information and really good research, and especially in your rationale. I noticed that you have a lot of excess space here, so I would delete all that excess space. And then I looked at your references, double check the capitalization on some of your sources. I included a really good example here that breaks it down and tells you and shows you, because I'm a visual learner, what those areas are. So for example, in your Hill reference, you made sure that they weren't capitalized. But then I noticed in your Driscoll one, you need to lowercase the letter I here and the letter I here in design and technology. So just double check your capitalization. So if you continue to develop your draft by working on adjusting your font and fixing your references and finishing your writing, your implementation phase and adding examples of your Kirkpatrick 4 levels, you'll have a strong ADDIE process. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like. And thank you for letting me do your peer review. So I hope that this advice is helpful, and I hope you have a nice day. Thanks.